So we made it, my friends. We made it. Entire miniseries. WandaVision is finally over. Season finale happened last Friday, so it's pretty basic, but let's let's break it down. Welcome to the newest episode of SDW.
Yep. Super Dario World!
So we've come to the end of the road. The end of the road. Hopefully you've enjoyed it. It had its ups and downs. Honestly, I'm torn as to how I feel about this series overall. It had good moments. It had bad moments. It had great moments. It had terrible moments. Particularly the retconning thing. But let's break down kind of what this means to the MCU as a whole. What it means to the next stage. What the hell is going to be happening with these characters? Did it actually fix what it was intended to fix? I don't know. Let's break it down. But before we get into it, let me just give you a quick reminder that any comments, questions, or suggestions, you can find me at Dario the Show on Instagram and at Super Dario World. Also streaming on YouTube and on Twitch at Super Dario World on Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays at 8 p.m. Monday and Friday wildcards. And if all goes well, I might be revealing something new maybe this week. If not, probably next week. I'm working on a new little something that I'm actually pretty excited about. But yeah, if you want to join me, the chat's up right now. What's up, Burious3? Thank you for joining me. And so I actually like the comments because there's a lot of stuff that I missed sometimes when breaking down the episode, and it helps me out. So there you go, J-Mall. Thank you for J-Mall. I hope I'm saying that now. I'm hoping I'm saying that right. But thanks for joining me. Let's begin. Let's get into this because there's a lot of stuff that we need to break down. So like I mentioned before, this is the final episode of the mini-series because they didn't say it was going to be a recurring thing. They said it was kind of going to be like a really long movie or a mini-series. And so it's the final episode. We don't know if we're going to get anything more in Disney Plus related to these characters. I don't think we will. I don't think we should because the characters are big enough by themselves that they should be able to, hold down their own movies. At least that's my humble opinion. Like, this could have actually been a movie. It would have been fine. Honestly, it probably would have been better off as a movie because we wouldn't have had a lot of people got stressed out with the first 3 episodes. Like, what the fuck is happening? Where's this going? What's the point? Imagine if it would have been shortened up into like the first act of a movie. It would have been actually a lot better. So I don't know. I guess that's looking back because it's 9 episodes and on average it was 20 minutes. So that's 100. No, it would have been a 3-hour movie. Maybe, I don't know, maybe a 2-parter. Who knows? Whatever. Doesn't really matter. Well, I mean, yeah, they could have cut out a bunch of filler, but we'll see. Whatever. Doesn't matter. Let's break down the episode and let's break down everything else. The consequence of this, what the hell's going to be happening, moving on, and all that fun stuff. So first off, the episode begins exactly where the previous one left off, and that's with Agatha taking control of the twins. She's got them hostage there. And, that really doesn't, that whole standoff doesn't really last very long because Wanda almost immediately blasts her as soon as the kids fall down, because the kids fall down. And that's when we see that Agatha can absorb the chaos magic. And here you're like, all right, well, this was probably her plan, right? This is why she was there. She's there to suck all the magic there. And honestly, that's what I thought for a little bit when it was all confused. I thought, okay, well, if you're in the middle of a giant hex spell, you're a magic succubus, you would think that you're there to suck all the magic power, right? Turns out that's not exactly how it works. I guess they need to attack her or something. I don't know. It's weird. Her powers are weird, but point is, she starts sucking Wanda's power after she attacks her, and Wanda's like, "Oh no, I'm going old, and I'm losing my power." And so she decides, you know what? If I can't throw magic directly at her, maybe I can throw a fucking car at her, which is a solid strategy, let me tell you. And so she throws a car at her, and when she goes there to check, we get a little homage there to the Wizard of Oz because we only see boots left under the car, which is actually pretty fun. And then things start getting weird. So as Wanda's trying to figure out where the fuck did this witch go, Vision shows up. Now, I was confused here for a second because I didn't know who the fuck this was. And by that I mean, is this Wanda's Vision, except, he's being manipulated? Or is he being affected by the witch? Or what the fuck is happening? And it turns out that this is actually the real Vision. And I know, it's complicated. It is a huge headache here, because turns out that this is the actual Vision. The Vision that we saw a couple episodes ago that was, ripped to shreds and they were cutting up and all that stuff. Apparently that's him. Now, correct me if I'm wrong here. The director of Sword had just told Wanda that, hey, you can bring him back to life. And this happened supposedly days ago, like nothing ago. And so days ago, we saw this dude completely ripped up. And the director was even asking for supernatural help to maybe bring him back. And now he's here. So I guess there was a massive breakthrough in the last days, hours. I don't know, but I'm very confused. And also, how did he get in? How did he get into the hex spell? The last time we saw Vision, the Vision in this world had a really tough time getting out, and then Wanda reinforced the whole thing. I guess Rambo pushed herself in. I don't know, man. This is very confusing. But the point is, the actual real Vision, the one that got killed by Thanos, is this guy. And he showed up. And so as he shows up, he's there to kill Wanda. Unfortunately, the fake Vision is there. I guess I'm going to call him Show Vision from now on. I guess Show Vision shows up, saves her, and this leads to, a fight between those two. While we discover that Rambo is being held prisoner by Pietro. And it's, like I said, there's a lot going on. And apparently I missed a deleted or a scene at the end where we see that Pietro captures Rambo. I don't know. This is really weird, man. Things are kind of getting off the rails pretty quickly, but whatever. Let's continue. And so we get to see this fight between the two Visions, which is actually pretty cool, pretty decent fight, especially for TV. And we get to see that the fight is being monitored by, the director and Sword agents outside. And that's kind of our way of knowing that, oh yeah, this was actually their plan. This is what actually they're responsible for the Vision being in there, or the real Vision being in there. And turns out that they captured FBI agent Jimmy, and Jimmy steals a cell phone. And in the meantime, the director does this whole monologuing thing, like, oh yeah, and he's trying to convince Jimmy to join them. And this whole conversation is very weird. Because Jimmy is like, hey, you're going to jail for what you did. There's no way you can cover this up, or this crimes or whatever. I'm not exactly sure what the crime is, to be honest. I'm very confused about what the fuck this dude did that was wrong. So, a couple episodes ago, I'm assuming that what's illegal here is that they broke the Sokovia Accords. But it's not exact. They never really say what the Sokovia Accords are, so I'm not really sure if they could even break them. But whatever. I guess the crime here is bringing the Vision back to life. However, an Avenger was in their offices like a few days ago, and he openly said, "Yeah, we're trying to get him back online because he's like a very valuable weapon." I'm very confused. I don't know what this dude did here that's criminal, or that he's trying to cover up, because he seemed pretty open about it. Yeah, we're trying to bring the Vision back online. Then the government gave him to us. It's a $3 billion piece of property, and we're trying to bring him back online so we can use him as a weapon again. I don't see where the cover up here is exactly, unless he told Wanda something that she was not supposed to know. Still, but I don't, and then they were saying, like, you can't cover this up, and he's like, oh no, well, we'll just pretend like Wanda stole his body, and then she's the one who reactivated him, and that's the Vision we got out of there. Okay, so they're saying that the plan is we're going to pretend like Wanda stole Vision's body. We didn't report it to anybody, I guess, for days. Then we found out that Wanda started her own little TV show here. And so we stopped her. And in stopping her, we recovered the body of the Vision, who for some reason now is operational. Like, it's not like you're going to have data there or recordings or any of that stuff that's backed up by, like computers and stuff or emails or anything that says that everything happened. Like, this whole plan's really stupid. Like, and this cover-up's really stupid, but whatever. I guess it's illegal. Anyway, let's move on, because that bit just really confuses me. Anyway, so Jimmy uses the phone that he stole to call his FBI buddies, and he's like, hey, can you guys be here in like 20 minutes? Because we're in trouble. Next, Wanda and Agatha have a very interesting conversation, which Agatha basically tells her some stuff about, well, first off, she lets her know that there's such a thing as the Book of the Damned, or the Black Hole, and there's a whole chapter dedicated to the Scarlet Witch, and she says that, no, this is a creature that's more powerful than the Sorcerer Supreme, and that she's a creature that she's not born, she's forged, and a whole bunch of stuff. And then at the end, she says that she's destined to destroy the world or whatever, which is very confusing because in the previous episode, she said that she could create out of nothing. Now, I guess there's a duality between creation and destruction, and you need to destroy something in order to create something new. So I guess there's balance there, I guess, but it's just confusing. And the whole not being born, she's forged. So this is a prophecy. I'm very confused. Like I said, I'm very confused because in the previous episode, she said that it was like an entity. And the way that I understood it is that she was like kind of like the Phoenix Force. And honestly, I was very confused because I thought that either that the Mind Stone either awakened her inside of Wanda's mind, or the Mind Stone actually inserted itself into Wanda's mind. I don't know, man. Like I said, it's all very confusing stuff. But the point is here is that the Scarlet Witch is something that's forged. All right, it has to be created. So it's a prophecy. I don't know. Like I said, there's too many plot holes here. But whatever. Let's assume it's a prophecy, because that's the only way that this kind of makes somewhat sense, even though it doesn't. But let's continue. So Wanda's like, but I'm not that. Shut the fuck up. And so Agatha starts unleashing all the people, from their hypnotic states, per se, or from their spells. And they all start, gathering around Wanda and being like, hey, let me free, please, whatever. In the meantime, Rambo still, she's hanging out with Quicksilver, and she discovers that Quicksilver is not actually Quicksilver. Well, he's not Peter, he's not Pietro. His name's actually Ralph Boner, and he lives in the house that's supposed to be Agatha's house. Which, this is the biggest blow out of the entire show, because the one thing that was extremely exciting about this show, because who cares? Honestly, who gives a fuck about Vision coming back? We knew that they were going to find a way of bringing Vision back. Who gives a fuck about Vision? The one thing that was actually exciting here was, all right, they're going to find a way to bring in the X-Men via the show. Disney just got the rights from Fox for the X-Men, and this is the show that's going to link them together. And then Pietro shows up, or Peter, and you're like, oh shit, this is how they're doing it. It's kind of weird, but let's see what they do. And now they just completely and totally nuke that in the balls, making here Peter, Pietro, Ralph Boner. Because now I don't see how the fuck they can do this in a way that makes any sort of sense whatsoever. I just don't. At least not right now. And so they're probably just going to completely and totally separate Wanda from the whole mutant stuff. And that sucks. Because it's kind of an important story. And she's kind of an important character. I want to say the thing about the X-Men is that there's so many fucking characters that losing one or the other is not key. I mean, if you lose Charles Xavier, you're kind of in some deep shit. But or if you never introduce him, you're kind of in some deep shit. Or Magneto. But for making Magneto interesting, you need Wanda and Pietro. So now are they completely going to separate him? I don't know. I'm not a fan, but whatever. To me, this was the worst thing. honestly, this was by far the worst thing. I know that people care about other stuff. I care about this because this nukes every single possible theory or option for the X-Men that I had so far. And I don't see where they're going to go forward with it. Honestly, I just don't. Next, so Rambo, she uses her powers to overpower Quicksilver. She uses her powers to see what the hell is, keeping him under control. And so she removes the necklace, and now Boner is free of the spell or whatever that Agatha had on him. Next, the kids are like, holy shit, our parents are fighting bad guys. We need to go help. And so they decide to go out and help. In the meantime, Wanda's being surrounded by all the people, and all the people are like, please let us go. We haven't slept for days. I want to see my kids. Please just kill us or whatever. And Wanda's like, stop it. And so she shuts everybody up by choking them magically. And everybody's like, you're fucking killing us. And Agatha's like, heroes don't torture people, Wanda. You're not a hero. And Wanda's like, you know what? Fuck all you guys. And she starts I'm a hero. And she starts bringing down the hex spell. And everybody's like, fuck this place. And they start running the fuck out of there because for the first time in a very long time, the hex spell is going down. In the meantime, the sword agents are like, an opening. And they start rushing in there. And that's when Wanda discovers like, oh shit, by bringing down the spell, I'm killing Vision. And I'm killing my kids because it turns out that they're linked to the spell. And so she decides, you know what? Fuck this shit. I'm going to close the spell again. So this leads us to a kind of an interesting conundrum. And to me, it's a missed opportunity. Now, the issue here is the villain. 100% is the villain. Because Agatha had a really solid argument that she uses against Wanda, that she could have used against Wanda the whole time, and the whole kidnapping the kids kind of screws that over, because it's one of those things that it's like, you know what, you could be totally right in your argument, but go fuck yourselves. You try to hurt my kids, even though my kids are imaginary, but fuck you. I'm not gonna go along with your plan. So if Agatha hadn't tried, using the kids as hostages or whatever, and she would have straight up told Wanda from the beginning, hey, your spell's kind of fucked up. Hey, you're supposed to try to be a hero here. And like, if she actually would have shown up in kind of like a mentor role instead of like the villain role, kind of like manipulated her. And like, try to picture this. You're Wanda. Let me see. Like, there you go. You're Wanda. And you kind of created this whole pocket universe there, and you're altering reality, and you're subconsciously torturing people there to save your own sanity and to keep your own family there. And Agatha shows up and she's like, hey, I'm actually no magic, and what you're doing is kind of fucked up. And let's see if we can understand what the fuck you're doing here. Also, you're kind of torturing people, so you're kind of the bad guy here. Now, I get it. You want to keep your spell on so that your family can still be here, but you're literally a monster right now. Like you're legitimately a villain. And so if she would have pitched her the pitch that she gives her later on, hey, if you give me the powers that you have, because I'm a succubus, I'm a magic succubus, if you give me those powers, I could fix your spell because I actually know what the fuck I'm doing. So if Agatha would have actually, let's say, tried to convince her that she's a witch, explained that what she did was she makes a whole bunch of spells and it's a clusterfuck, and that she's actually torturing people, and given her a way out, even though later on we learned that it was never actually possible, but it's a manipulation, so she's just lying to get whatever she wants. I think that would have been a better pitch. And you could have had that moment where Wanda's like, all right, fine, I agree. And then it's like, oh no, I regret it. And then it turns out that Agatha is extremely powerful, and Wanda has to find a way to actually bring her down. It actually would have been more fun because we would have had a better villain. It was a missed opportunity. It was just a missed opportunity because as soon as she took over the kids, as soon as she showed her true colors, like, oh yeah, I'm a villain, and started taking the kids and stuff like that, you're like, yeah, this is never going to work. Like, no deal that you throw here is actually going to ever be acceptable, whatever. So you got the family reunited again because Wanda put the spell back on, and Agatha starts attacking them. Real Vision shows up on another direction, and the FBI and Sword shows up in another direction. So they're being attacked on three fronts. And so the family's like, all right, fine, let's kick some ass here. Vision goes after Vision. Wanda goes all right, and Vision goes after Vision, and they end up in a, let's say, instead of in an actual fight, they end up in a philosophical debate, and I'll get back to that debate later. And basically, the debate is because Real Vision says to Show Vision, my prime directive is that I need to destroy the Vision, and Show Vision's reply is, well, I'm not the real Vision. And so that this leads to a philosophical debate that I'll come back to later. So in the meantime, Agatha's attacking the soldiers. Why? I don't really know, because the soldiers were apparently there for Wanda. And then Wanda saves the soldiers, whatever. And Wanda heads off to duke it with Agatha. Then the kids disarm the soldiers, I guess. But they did not disarm the director, who shoots at the kids. And then Rambo shows up in the nick of time. And her powers allow her to, I don't know, not really absorb, but kind of like become like a filter for the bullets and slow them down. I don't know. This is really annoying about when they don't explain characters' powers. Certain characters, I can understand why you can't explain her powers because they're difficult. Like, for example, Wanda's powers are difficult to explain, and that's because most people don't really understand them. They don't understand chaos magic. They don't. In fact, I would debate that it's in the name chaos that it makes it difficult to explain. They don't understand the altering the loss of probability and how that works. And I get it. I understand. But Rambo, we know where she got her powers from, but we don't know why, or why didn't anybody else get powers, or why it didn't kill her, or what her powers are. Because apparently right now, like, here's the beauty of not explaining powers. You can have any power that's convenient for you at that moment. That's something that annoys me. It's like, okay, well, what power do we need her to have right now? That's what she's going to have, because it's convenient to us in that moment. And I kind of don't like it. And also in this shot, the director wouldn't have actually hit anybody, which annoys me. It's like Rambo's standing in front of the kids, but right in the middle. So like the kids would not have been shot by these two shots. It's weird. But anyway, whatever. Let's move on. So the director's like, I'm going to get the fuck out of here. And then Darcy shows up, hits him with the chocolate, like, you're going to jail. Again, why is he going to jail? Not exactly sure. You could argue, well, it's because he was shooting some kids. Well, those kids aren't real, though. So is it a crime to shoot somebody's imaginary children? I'm going to go ahead and say no. But anyway, let's continue. So we go back to the philosophical debate between the Visions. And long story short, they're doing the debate of, if you replace every single plank or every piece of wood in a ship, is it still the same ship? And that's kind of the debate that they're going through. And here, the debate basically is, what ship is the Vision? Because technically, all the Vision's parts are the real Vision, and this guy was made pretty much from Wanda's memories. Every single thing about him is fake. No single part of him is the original. It is parts from the original Vision, which honestly, I'm happy that they answered this question, because you remember last episode I was very confused. I didn't know if Wanda basically stole the body or if she created him from scratch. And so now we know that Wanda had the power to create an Infinity Stone from scratch. Like, her powers created an Infinity Stone, an artificial being, and a vibranium. So that's her level of power right now, guys. Anyway, so they have this debate, and in the end, Vision's like, well, you're the real Vision, and actually, you know what? Let me see if I can help you unlock your memories. So he touches, where the crystal should be, where now there's just an open chip for some reason. And the Vision's memory starts flooding back, and the Vision's like, oh no, my God, I'm the real Vision. And he flies the fuck out of there, right? Because he's kind of freaking out. So this leads Show Vision to go back with his kids, while Agatha's like, where the fuck is Wanda? And Wanda tries using the little psychic trick that she used on Thor in Avengers Age of Ultron. It turns out to massively backfire on her because reasons, I don't know. I guess Agatha's a better psychic for some reason, or better control of magic, I guess. Sometimes experience is better than raw talent. And this is when Wanda's kind of like powers start to reveal themselves. And Wanda basically is like, fuck this, I'm not going down on my own fucking Vision. And she fights her way out of there, and this leads to a big fight up in the sky, back in the real world. Vision kind of wants to get in there to help, and she's like, Vision, get the fuck out. And so Wanda just starts throwing a whole bunch of powers randomly. Some of them hit her, which make her lose powers. Some of them hit the wall. It's very chaotic, and honestly, it looks pretty shitty. Like the effects for that particular fight, it just looked crappy. She looked silly doing it, but whatever. So she keeps doing it until she's kind of burned herself out. She doesn't have all her juice anymore, and clearly she's old and withered, and she's like on the verge of death. And so Agatha is like, I'm gonna kill you, and Agatha can't use her powers. That's when it's revealed that actually, when Wanda was hitting the wall, she was actually making the runes that she learned. What was it? Last episode? What's the last episode? Oh yeah, the runes that she learned from last episode about whatever witch casts these in a particular space, only she can use magic or whatever. So she learned how to do that just by looking at the runes, so that's pretty cool. Anyway, so Agatha has no powers, and so Wanda takes this opportunity to suck all her powers back from her, and maybe even take more than her fair share. So this actually ends up activating or creating the new look Scarlet Witch. And now, honestly, this is the only thing that I care about right now. The costume looks fucking cool, and I'll show you that there's a better shot of this. The one thing that I was concerned is that her costume can be kind of silly, but they actually made it look pretty legit. At least I was a fan. I thought it looked pretty cool. Anyway, so this is the official awakening of the Scarlet Witch. Now, it is not clear, again, there's a lot of things that are not clear, but it is not clear if, at this point, another entity took over, or if she just awakened her powers, or I don't know. Like I said, I'm very confused by a lot of things, because supposedly it was understood that the Scarlet Witch is an entity as old as time, kind of like the Phoenix Force, and that she was going to be like her new body or whatever. Then we learned that this is something that actually gets forged. So the Scarlet Witch is something that a witch has to forge. But if she's the one that forges it, or forges the Scarlet Witch, then how come it was already inside of her? It's weird, man. Like this makes no fucking sense. Or it could have just been the prophecy, and whatever girl controlled chaos magic has the possibility of becoming the Scarlet Witch. I don't know. I'm confused. Like none of this makes any sense, but whatever. So Agatha's like, oh fuck, you have no idea what you've done. Obviously, she doesn't tell her what she's done. And Wanda brings everybody back to Earth, right? And here you can see a better look at the costume. The costume is legit. Like, it's legit. If you're gonna do a superhero thing, the costume has to be legit, and this one looks pretty cool. I'll give you that. The hair, the kind of like, it's not called a crown, it's something else. I forget what it is, but the whole thing looks pretty cool. So I'll give them that. If the one thing that came out of this show is that she officially has the name the Scarlet Witch and this new look, I'm a fan. Anyway, whatever. Moving on. Agatha's still like, you have no idea what you're doing, blah, blah. You have no idea what you started. Now, correct me if I'm wrong. The only thing that she did was she awakened her, let's say, true powers, or she awakened the Scarlet Witch, in which case, this goes back all to the confusion, things not making sense. What are the things that she could have started? Well, what are the things that Wanda could have started that Agatha wasn't going to start? Because Agatha wanted to suck all the powers, right? If she would have sucked all the powers, then that she would have done the same thing, right? But no, apparently, I'm guessing, and this is just guessing, the thing that Wanda awakened, or the thing that she started, the thing that she did that Agatha's so freaked out about, is probably she awakened the Scarlet Witch, which kind of tells you, or maybe it's the start of the apocalypse, or maybe it's the collapse of dimensions, which would make really no fucking sense, but whatever. If I have to guess, it's going to be the awakening of the Scarlet Witch, and if she's going to be a creature of destruction, if she's going to bring out the destruction of the world and then create another one in its image, I guess I'd be a little freaked out too. But I'm very confused. Like Agatha could have actually painted herself here as kind of the hero, being like, I was trying to stop the Scarlet Witch, who is the harbinger of doom. So it was just such a missed opportunity with her. They could have made her kind of a extremely more sympathetic villain, and they blew it. But whatever. So Agatha drops that thing, and so Wanda's like, you know what? Fortunately, I'll just keep you here as the nosy neighbor, and if I ever need you, I'll come back. So she strips her powers and puts her kind of like in an enslaved mental state that everybody else in that town used to be. So all right. Next, we get the family, and here I'm gonna go pretty quickly because I'm guessing you can assume what's happening here. We get the family reunion, which is very nice. And well, by the way, this also something kind of, I guess, if you care, I care. There's a point right here in the middle of her new crown. I'm gonna call it a crown. I know it's not a crown, but it looks a lot, and I mean a lot, like Magneto's helmet. So, I mean, I ain't crazy, right? I'm not the only one who sees this. Like, this looks a lot like Magneto's helmet, like this little area right here. So they kind of already blown up that storyline, right? With the Pietro thing and the boner thing, I already explained that. So what is just a final insult to us fans? I don't know, but whatever. I just want to point that out. So family reunion, and and Wanda decides that she's going to bring the hex spell down, and so they do the goodbye with the kids, is like because she knows that once she brings down the spell, her family's going to disappear. So she's bringing down the spell, and it's sad, and they're saying goodbye to the kids, and then she says goodbye to the Vision. And here, this is actually a pretty interesting conversation, and this goes back to, there's a lot of holes in this story. There's a lot of issues with this story, but the thing that was solid throughout was the acting. Paul Bettany and Elizabeth Olsen were top notch the entire fucking show, and it all culminated in this very, very beautiful scene. It has a lot of heart, and it asks some pretty interesting questions. Like, Vision wanted to know, like, what am I? Like, I'm not exactly sure, what am I? And Wanda tries to explain that maybe he's the part of the Mind Stone that was always inside of her, which kind of, it could be an interesting concept. Like, maybe, all right, and hear me out, maybe Wanda always had the Scarlet Witch inside of her, and that's who she was going to become by herself naturally, because she had the witch powers. And then the Mind Stone kind of, in coming into contact with her, was like, oh man, fuck this bitch, she's too powerful. And so the Mind Stone could have kind of locked the Scarlet Witch inside of her, and then afterwards, once the Mind Stone was destroyed, that kind of unleashed the Scarlet Witch and the Scarlet Witch powers inside of Wanda, and that's why she became unstable. That's why she created the town. That's why all those stuff starting to happen post the destruction of the Mind Stone. That's a theory. It's not the strongest theory, but it could kind of explain some stuff, I guess. Whatever. Anyway, so Wanda tries to explain, like, oh, well, maybe you're the piece of the Mind Stone that's inside of me. Maybe that's why she was able to recreate it, because she had a piece of her inside of her. I don't know, piece of the stone inside of her. You're my sorrow and all that stuff. It's a very sweet moment, and this actually leads to Vision dropping a tear. And so I don't know if you know this, robots don't cry. They don't have tear ducts. So it's one of those moments where it's a very bittersweet scene. I recommend you watch it, because it's the transformation of Vision from being just like a mind with a body without a mind, and now a memory turned flesh. It's like I said, it's a very well acted scene, and it shows you what was the best part about this show is the acting by Olsen and Paul Bettany. They knocked it out of the park. They put so much heart into it, and so that was by far and away. The show was funny, the sitcom stuff, but it's because of the acting, and those two were like are top notch actors right now. They may be the best actors in the MCU right now. So I'll leave you to watch that scene and decide for yourself. I just really, really liked it, that particular scene. Next, you get the little goodbye, and Vision starts to disappear as the whole hex spell disappears. Then we see Wanda back where she started in the previous in the episode that we saw before, the behind the scenes stuff, when she created the house and all that stuff. And here's something weird happen. We saw Wanda show up in a car, and we saw the car right there. But for some reason, she started to walk away into town where everybody hates her. But she did it anyway. I guess in a way, she kind of like wanted to to make herself go through it, which kind of makes sense. You know, you want to show your face after you kind of massively, epically fuck up and torture people for how no, Lord knows how many days, and take their kids and their memories and their free wills and stuff. But all right. So she walks up to Rambo, and Rambo's like, these people, they'll have no idea what you gave up for them. And it's like, no, bitch, she took something from them to create imaginary friends. So, or make imaginary friends come to flesh. So it's kind of fucked up here. Listen, what Wanda did was beyond fucked up. And I think they should have amped up the insanity a little bit more. Cause listen, I get it, she's sad, but being sad is no excuse for torturing people and taking away the free wills and stuff and actually making them want to die instead of still living in that world. But all right, I mean, I guess people like Elizabeth Olsen, but whatever. Anyway, so Wanda's like, all right, deuces. She leaves there. Rambo, in the meantime, gets a reunion with Jimmy, and then she gets told by one of the higher-ups that another higher-up wants to talk to her. And here's where we discover that this particular character turns out to be a Skrull, and that a friend of her mother's is inviting her up into space. Who it is, it could be Captain Marvel. It could be the Skrull leader. It could be, I think it's probably Nick Fury, whatever. But the point is, that's probably where Rambo's story is going to be going moving forward. She may be a part of Secret Wars or whatever. We don't know, but at least that's where things look like they're going to be heading for Rambo. Next, we get this beautiful scenery. I think it's Alaska, and why I think it's Alaska, I have no reason to think this is Alaska. I just think it's Alaska, but it's this remote part of the world, and we see this little cabin, and Wanda's hanging out in it. Well, outside. It turns out that Wanda outside is actually an illusion, because inside, Wanda is practicing with the Book of the Damned, so she's learning magic. She's getting more powerful, and at the very end, Wanda hears a voice, and I'm not 100% sure on this. I'm like 99% sure of this, but I think the voice that she hears is her kids saying, "Mom, help us." So the imaginary kids that she created are asking for help, and that's where the show ends. So there you go. That was WandaVision. That's where it ended. That's where the whole thing went. And now let's kind of, I guess, try to break things down a little, like as much as we can. Well, what does this mean for the MCU moving forward? What does this mean for the character and all that stuff? But let me just really quickly read the chat here. Toro Rosso, what up? Didn't hate the episode, but I definitely expected a little more. What was the point of bringing Peters back if he wasn't going to be Quicksilver from X-Men? That was kind of lame. Yeah, exactly my point. And I talked about this earlier before. That the whole thing with making Pietro Ralph Boner is a kick in the nuts to X-Men fans, because it makes no sense. I guess they wanted to throw a bone to the people who like the X-Men movies, but honestly, it was just an insult. I took it as an insult, because I thought, okay, the reason for this show is they're going to start bringing things together. They're going to bring the X-Men franchise here, and no, it was just they just spat in our face. Like, honestly, they just should have used any random person that looked kind of like Aaron Taylor Johnson. That would have been actually better. But no, they used the actor who played Quicksilver, who played Peter in the X-Men movies, as kind of like a FU to everybody. They're just spitting in our faces, which makes no sense. Honestly, like all that stuff is, to me, it was the worst part of this episode. Overall, the costume was fine. I like the costume. All right, okay. So overall, I like the costume. I like the acting. Had a lot of heart. I appreciate when things have heart. But underwhelming, to say the least. Underwhelming. The fight was mediocre. Let's say it. All right. The Vision fight was okay. The philosophical fight was okay. Like I said, basic. That's the problem with Vision, who's always been kind of basic. The fight with Wanda was just sucked. They should have. They had the opportunity, and to me, I would have painted Agatha as the hero here, or make her believe that she's the hero and she's actually trying to stop Wanda and her evil duties. But it turns out that the reason why Agatha is doing it is for her own evil reasons, or for her own selfish reasons. That's how I would have done it. It would have made the audience feel a little bit more torn. Like, oh yeah, well, I mean, but Wanda's the hero though. But I mean, Agatha's kind of right. She did take all these people's free will. And also, if apparently the Scarlet Witch is a creature of destruction is going to destroy the world, I kind of see why Agatha wants to stop her. Also, I don't really trust Agatha because she's a witch, and it sounds like all she wants is power. So it would have made the audience be a little bit more torn. You would have been a little bit more involved. Also, if Agatha would have taken a little bit more of her powers, the fight could have been a little bit more legit. Like, imagine her actually summoning certain creatures to fight, or instead of the problem of just standing there and taking hits. By the way, it makes no sense that Agatha was dodging Wanda's attacks, but that's also something that bothered me. In the whole fight in the sky thing, Agatha should have been actively trying to be hit. Like, all right, taking another one, because I'm sucking all the magic. So her dodging stuff or it makes no sense. Or Wanda like missing makes no sense because Agatha should have actively been trying to get hit. So underwhelming. And like I said, that fight looked kind of crappy. Overall, what's the consequences of this show? What do we get moving forward? So Vision is kind of back, but he doesn't have the Mind Stone, and who knows if he's even there anymore. So Vision is kind of back, or yeah, he's back. Whatever. So they found a way to bring Vision back. Good for them. Which, by the way, here's the kicker. It sounds like they didn't really need much. It turns out that Sword found a way to bring Vision back by themselves. So, okay, if you did a whole show just to bring Vision back, congratulations. You failed because Sword apparently already did by themselves, but whatever. I honestly like show Vision way more. Like Vision as a dad, like Vision with heart, way better character. Real Vision, boring and really boring. What else did we get? We got the introduction of a new villain who's now basically a neutered, nosy neighbor living in a mental prison, I guess. We saw that we didn't really get to see Wanda truly be insane or unstable, and she got extreme. And she should have gotten an extreme power up. So you guys remember Wanda in Endgame. She took on Thanos by herself, and she was actually beating Thanos by herself, and to the point where Thanos actually had to order a bombardment on his own troops just to stop her, just so that he could break away from her spell. So, Wanda at the beginning, during Endgame, was more powerful than Thanos, or had enough power to take Thanos down by herself. By the end of this show, she has awakened the Scarlet Witch, which should be a massive power-up, and she's practicing with the... we're told that she has more power than the Sorcerer Supreme, and she's practicing or learning from the Book of the Damned. So, next time we see Wanda, she's going to get nerfed the fuck out of here. They're going to retcon her powers like you have no idea. Mark my words. Because they made her too powerful, and they fundamentally do not understand the character. So the next time when we see Wanda in the Multiverse of Madness, I can guarantee you that she's not going to be the power level that she should be on the end of the show. Like, she should be Omega level right now. She should be an Omega level mutant, and in Multiverse of Madness, they're gonna nerf her. They're going to give her a massive power down. And I don't know why, but whatever. I can guarantee you that. Well, I can't guarantee it, but let's say if I'm putting my money down on something, I'm putting it down on that. We also got the 2 kids who are apparently alive in another dimension. So if I have to take a guess, Wanda, the creature of destruction, hears her kids in another dimension, and so she decides, you know what, fuck it, I'm gonna go into that other dimension to get my kids back, and that kind of starts breaking reality. And that's probably what Doctor Strange's story is going to be, because he's going to have to go in there and do stuff. If I have to take a guess. Now, how that mixes up with Spider-Man and his own movie, I don't know. But I guess that's the only thing that makes sense right now. Or Wanda goes after Doctor Strange because she knows that Doctor Strange, the Sorcerer Supreme, has the ability to travel within dimensions. I don't know. I'm very confused. But overall, the show's alright. It has its ups, it has its downs, it has a lot of retconning, which annoyed me. It had potential, a lot of potential, and a lot of it got wasted, but if the one thing that we got out of here is the new look Scarlet Witch, I'm okay with it. I'm okay with it. Because I like it. that's the easiest way for me to explain it. So I'm okay with that. Everything else, all right. It was all right. It was okay. It's better than some movies. It's better than some of the MCU movies. And overall, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed watching it. I enjoyed breaking it down, and I enjoyed the performances. So overall, I'll recommend the show. I'll recommend the show. It was good. It was good. It was good. It wasn't the best. It failed miserably in a few things, but overall, it was good. So that's it. That's it for today. I'll leave it right there. I think it's fine. I think it's a good place to leave the show. We'll see what happens in the future, but whatever. As always, thank you for listening. Any comments, questions, or suggestions, you can find me at Dario the Show on Instagram and at Super Dario World. Streaming on YouTube and on Twitch at Super Dario World. Tuesdays, Wednesdays, Thursdays at 8 p.m. if you want to join me, if you want to join the chat and stuff. Thank you for all those who join me. As always, thank you for listening, and I'll see you again next time.